What's going on, everyone? For today's video, we're going to be working once again on my 1987 Jeep Comanche. Now, in my last video, I put new parts on the front end. Looks a lot better, but we're just getting started. The next thing I'm going to work on is the interior. So this is what it looks like. The headliner is missing. The seat has a little tear in it. These Comanches were notorious for rusting out, and that's why you don't see them very often. And I was thinking to myself, oh, I'll just replace this whole flooring with like a carpet or something. It'll look a lot better, but it's not gonna be that easy. I looked underneath here, and as you can see, the floor is starting to rust away. There's a big hole right here. What I'm pushing up on, yeah, that's the flooring. Yeah, it's pretty bad. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take the seat out, and then I'm gonna remove this flooring, and we're gonna see just how bad it really is. So, let's get started. I hope this goes all right. So the first thing I had to do was take the seat out. I knew the bolts would be seized up, so I got some PB Blast from the hardware store and put plenty of spray on. After waiting a little bit, I started to remove the bolts. Some of them were really easy to remove, but a couple of them took more work. Okay, so the seat is free, so let's take it out.
The next day.
Okay, so I got tired last night. I'm gonna finish the rest of the truck today. So now, what I have to do is take this whole vinyl piece out. I'm kind of nervous to see how bad the floor pans are. Now, in order to remove the vinyl flooring, you have to remove the trim pieces. The nice thing is they're really easy to remove. They're just fastened with Phillips screws. Once I removed the center console, I was ready to see just how bad the passenger side was. Oh, wow. So as I suspected, a lot more work was going to be required. This floor was in pretty rough shape. A lot of surface rust and holes. Okay, so here's the damage on the passenger side. The worst spot is right here. You can see my foot through the bottom there. Oh yeah, it's seen better days. This is something pretty cool. Look here, the date on it is 4/29/87, so that's pretty cool. Shifter looks like when it's all taken apart. So I guess we'll keep going and see how bad the other side is. So as bad as the passenger side was, I was really getting nervous how bad this driver's side would be. All right, so let's see how bad this is. So this part's about the same as the other side. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not good. Oh no. Oh gee. Look at that. No wonder it's so loud in here. I'm gonna pull the rest of this up and get this stupid thing out of here. All right, so here's the mat. It's completely out. And here is what it looks like. Look at all that rust. I just can't get over how awful this is right here. I got a hole here, right there, right there. So instead of an easy carpet swap, I now had to fix up the flooring. This was on top of the fact that many other things needed fixed in the interior. So the first thing I did was repaired the holes. I ordered 2 floor panels for a Jeep Comanche. After doing some searching, I found someone willing to fix the floor. Okay, so the Comanche's back in the garage, and we're about to put some Pour 15 on the floor. All the holes were repaired in the floor pans, but there was still work to be done. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work up this rust with the wire brush, and then afterwards I'm gonna put some Pour 15 all over the floor, so hopefully it goes well. So I started with the wire brush. I went over all the rust to remove as much as I could. I went over both sides several times, making sure to get every inch of the floorboard. Now it still looks a little rough, but it is a lot better than it was before. The next step was to apply the metal prep for the Pour 15. It's a zinc phosphate coating that allows the Pour 15 to adhere to the floorboard. I sprayed it all over the floorboard and then rinsed it off. Next, I applied the Pour 15 paint. It's a rust preventative coating I put all over the floor. Well, there's the first coat. Still pretty wet. I'll have to let it sit for probably a couple hours before I do another coat. I waited a couple hours and applied a second coat. And here's the result. That looks so much better. And now I'll feel a lot better knowing it's protected. Now before we put the new interior pieces in, I first wanted to apply this sound deadening material. Jay Leno uses this material in many of his classic cars. What you do is cut one of the mats to shape, expose the adhesive backing, and then stick it anywhere inside the cab. Once it's laid in place, you use a metal roller to press firmly onto the material. The company that makes this material is called Noico. I bought 36 square feet on Amazon and I put it everywhere, behind the seat, in the B pillars, and several pieces on the ceiling. This will make it a lot more quiet inside of the cab. At this point, the truck was ready to be put back together. I ordered a new headliner, carpet, and these custom-fit Comanche mats. I also bought a tan center console on eBay and a new shift boot. These carpets are nice and thick, and I think they'll look really sharp in the truck. Now with all these tan parts, I thought it would look a lot better if I got the seat reupholstered. We found a color that matched the honey interior, and when it was all finished, it turned out great. It has the same style as the original seat, but it looks brand new. Now whenever you put a new carpet in a vehicle, you need to keep your old carpet to use it as a template. The new carpet is oversized, so you have to cut along the edges. We used a Sharpie marker to trace the old carpet, and then we cut along the lines. So now it was finally time to start putting the new parts in the truck. First came the carpet, then came the headliner. I think this is probably the most enjoyable part of the restoration. Now along with this headliner, I received material to reupholster the visors. Here's how they looked before. The material was coming off of them, they were faded, there was holes, it just looked pretty cruddy. I had an Amishman reupholster them and they look good as new. Now I don't know what causes these mirrors to go bad like this, but I went ahead and replaced it as well. Look at this destroyed inner shift boot. It was so bad you could see straight through the truck. I ended up using this inner shift boot for a Wrangler and it worked perfectly fine. So now there was only a few things that were left. New seat belts were installed, and the worn out weather stripping was replaced. Now behind the seat, there's supposed to be a piece of fabric, but it was missing from my truck. Well, when I went to the junkyard, I found that carpet piece in one of the old Comanches. This is what it looked like before I got it reupholstered. I don't have a picture of it right now, but I had it reupholstered to match the rest of the material. Before putting all the trim pieces back in, I gave them a good wash down. Just using a scrub brush and some soap removed all the dirt. Once all the trim pieces were put back in, the last part was installing the seat. And finally, it was done. Here's the result. It's so good to finally have a clean interior. I don't plan on driving this truck in the winter, mainly because of the salt on the roads. So as long as I take care of it, I think this interior will look good for many years to come. If any of you guys watching are restoring a Comanche or an old Cherokee XJ, let me know if you have any questions. I'd be glad to help you out. So this has been the interior part of the restoration, but now I have to focus on the exterior. The truck is in pretty good shape, but there are some areas I need to work on, and one thing I still need to do is install that sports bar with the driving lights. I bought these vintage KC lights, and I think they're gonna go really well with the truck. I also have some mechanical issues, like the fuel sending unit isn't working, so I can't see how much gas I have in the tank. I'm so fortunate that I found this Comanche at the junkyard because I've been using so many parts from it. But anyway, that's for another video. I'm just so glad that the interior is finished now. So when will I get started on these exterior parts? Well, I'm kind of at the mercy of the weather right now. Northeast Ohio is experiencing this polar vortex, and we're getting -30 wind chills, so once it gets warmer out, I'll start working on the exterior parts. So this has been part 2 of the Jeep truck restoration. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to stay tuned for part 3. I'm Neo Auto, and we'll see you next time.